Morning everyone, my name is Mark Farrell, IT department. I was asked today just to give a brief update on some changes that are coming next week with Patient Centre in the next phase of TMS. I'm sure most of you are already aware of TMS and Patient Centre over the last 12 months in terms of your normal scheduled workflow. And what's coming down the track next week is the ability to request and schedule your emergency workflow. So we just threw together some screenshots here this morning just to show you what it's going to look like. First screen here is obviously when you go in, you select your team and you request your procedures. And the only difference is in the new screen is that you've got an emergency request tick box, and when you select same, then you select the appropriate priority, and that sets you into the emergency workflow. Other than that, it's exactly the same as what you're at now. Okay. Then obviously when that completes, you press your send order from here, and then what obviously happens is your schedule order comes into focus. So the only difference now is that when you select the schedule procedure, you don't get the native schedule functionality that's there now. This is a new data set that's been defined through TPOT, which is the Productive Theatres group within theatre. And it's split into two sections, and the concept is that the ordering team will complete or indicate the status of those particular data items here. Bottom section is for the actual local theatre themselves. When that information is completed or not completed, depending on the situation, there's going to be a new work list that's available to all staff, both the surgical teams and the theatres themselves. That will show all patients that are currently on the scheduled work list and their current status. Okay. As I said, I believe there's a protocol and a procedure already in place within the hospital in terms of your emergency workflow. This is just considered to be phase one to try and put an ICT layer on same. And I know that the TPOT group themselves are looking to evolve this process once we go live over the next couple of weeks. Okay, any questions?
Any thoughts? So can we order back our emergency workload through this?
Yes, you will.
So we can generate.
Yeah, well, it'll be real time. So at the moment, there's a full KPI and dashboard suite of MIS reporting that's going to be available probably in the next 4 weeks. That's going to cover emergency workflow and your standard scheduled stuff. So all teams will have access to their own activity, and you'll be able to then report on same and see what the activity's been like.
Linked in with Hype?
Well, linked in with Hype, well yes, obviously Hype are part of the process, so Helen, who runs from Hype, has been involved from day one with the new features that have been deployed over the last 12 months. I would see the same evolution over the next while with this, because in essence it's the same thing. You're requesting a set of procedures for a patient, and then obviously the patient's record is coded appropriately.
Okay, Mr. McEntee?
It's a good idea and it's progress. What about the idea of being able for us to go on Patient Centre and book our patients into pre-operative assessment? Some of my team said it would be very useful. Instead of having to fill out a sheet, can we now computerise that and add that to the system? Where
Absolutely.
Patients who require elective surgery and need to go to pre-op assessment, they can be booked on this system. But at present, there's no facility.
Completely agree, Mr. McAtee. My colleague Jenny Costello is behind you there. Jenny, do you want to just talk to that for a second about some changes that may be coming down the track?
Yeah, we have the requirements have been defined. Dr. Marsh has been working on with us, and they have been submitted for us to the application, and it's been identified as a loop that needs to be closed.
Yeah.
So it is there to be done and to be closed.
And I would say it'll happen sooner rather than later because of some anaesthesia workflow that's actually happening within the theatres, and that particular workflow is also now key for them to allow them have a kind of a unified workflow.
Mr. Mozo, and then.
Mark, how do you find the patient to put in the operative note? Is it under my name or is it on an emergency list, or where is it?
Okay, yeah, this has kind of come up in a number of debates over the last couple of weeks. So it very much depends. If your patient is coming in from some external hospital and has never been known before in the hospital, well then obviously you probably have to wait until admissions or bed management put the patient up in the system, unfortunately, as the system currently stands. If the patient is known and the patient has a bed manager or a pre-admit event already set up on the system, well then obviously you'll be able to find that particular patient. But yes, that is an area which might need some refinement from a process point of view in the hospital over the next while.
Do I just go to theatre work list, put in my name, select today's date, or
No, okay, so to see who's scheduled or to find your patient to schedule?
No, to put in, actually to input the operative note.
Oh, sorry, for the I should have said that. So when the patient arrives in theatre, normal workflow then kicks in by default. So you'll be able to find your patient on the emergency list, your theatre number work list, or the theatre schedule list for the day. So normal workflow will kick in.
I've spoken to Harry Frizzell about this. We have a particular problem in our service. I think it's
Yes.
back to TPOP. We have, the majority of the time, the registrar covering our service is not working the matter at night or at the weekend.
Correct.
Now, obviously, we can get them access to the computer system. That's not a huge problem. It's getting them familiarity with the system that they may only use a handful of times
Correct.
in a 6-month period. And we're trying to look at options for that. And there probably is other services that have similar-ish situations. I think plastics, ophthalmology maybe. Secondly, I disagree with Jerry. I'm not sure how good an idea this is. I have concerns that this is going to divulge our managers in theatre of management even further. Traditionally, emergency lists and priority on emergency lists were done face to face, and are still done in the institutions I've worked in internationally. And I think some of our weaker managers are just going to hide behind the computer system and who is on in the same categorisation. I appreciate there's different categorisations, but in the same
Yes.
E2 categorisation, they're just going to hide behind the E2 classification of what time patients went on the computer system. And it's really going to fall down to those services that are most efficient. And
But this isn't
No,
meant
no,
to
no, no, no.
replace direct communication, is it?
Well,
I think it's going to make it harder and harder. We have a very unusual theatre design in that there's no desk at the front of it.
Sure.
There's no, the manager in charge of theatre is not clearly identifiable when you enter it, and it's not accessible from outside. And we don't have a sort of base there where the anaesthetist in charge, or the on-call anaesthetist is based as well. Where I think in most major institutions that interface occurs, particularly as the number of theatres swells.
Mr. Tokes?
Partially an answer to that,
Yeah.
and partially with another question related. It is anticipated that E1s will still be discussed face-to-face and prioritised on that basis.
Oh yeah, I've got clarification on that, but could we with Strider, we're just putting
The real emergencies have to be
Common sense.
and will be, and they're a minority. The E2s, though, is certainly an issue that we have, and the priority that's given to them is something that we're watching, and some particular departments are not particularly as accurate as others, shall we say, in their prioritising.
People still need to talk, don't they? That's how hospitals
One
succeed.
sort of a related question on that, is there a facility here for knowing which of the emergencies have been booked 3-4 days in advance?
yes.
Yeah.
So full audit trail on any particular request that's raised, from the point of order to if the priority was changed on a number of occasions via patient centre if somebody so wishes to do so, and up until the time the patient arrives in theatre. All that is trackable and traceable and available for anybody to view real time within patient centre.
Yeah, so any IT system's only as good as the people using it. The E2s you think are...
Sign orthopaedics will come up on the screen.
I didn't say that.
Right.
Hey, one for orthopedics? Okay.
So guys, what we'll do today is we'll put up some help sheets on patient centre anyway, just so that the information is there. Then the functionality is to be released next week. Again, we'll put a message up in patient centre relating to same. IT are happy to engage in any process that are ICT related, and then anything else we can bring back to TPOT or engage with our colleagues in theatre to see how we can improve things.
Mark, thanks very much. And
Thank you very
thanks-
much.
Thanks to all the